Today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in the Shipwreck Arcana, a wonderful little deduction game, cooperative deduction game that I played a couple times recently, once with 3 players, once with 4 players. I really enjoy my plays of it. This might be my favorite deduction game of all deduction games. It's really, really wonderful. And I think a key part of that is that it's fully cooperative. And the way it does that is really, really unique. Let me give you a quick glance at the mechanism so you understand what I'm talking about. Basically, there are a bunch of tiles in this bag numbered 1 through 7. And on the table are cards that look like this. So this card says, if both of your fates are the same, play one of them here. This one says, if the sum of your fates is 11 or more, play one of them here. And so on. So there are a couple of these that are going to be out on the table at all times. On my turn, I'm going to draw 2 of these tiles out of the bag, or I'm going to end up with 2 of these in my hand. And I'll select one, they're secret, I'll select one, and I'll put it on one of these cards if it's an accurate placement. So this one that says, if both of your fates are the same, fates are the tiles, play one of them here. So if I have a 4 in hand and a 4 tile, then I can put the 4 right here next to this card. Now that's not a great example because, well, actually it is a great example because what I'm trying to do is communicate to the other players what the tile is that is remaining in my hand. And you're doing so by giving these clues. So I'm giving a clue by putting that 4 in front of this card. And that's a definite clue. In this case, because I'm putting the 4 next to this card, you know for sure that the other one in my hand is a 4. And so the other players can decide if they want to try to predict my fate, the tile left in my hand. And if they do so accurately, then we get a point. And we're trying to get up to 7 points to win the game. And we're trying to do that before this doom tracker advances. So if you ever guess wrong, so say this other tile, if the sum of your fates is 11 or more, play one of them here. The tile's numbered 1 through 7. So say I had a 6 and a 7, and I put a 6 next to this card. That gives you some information, but it could be a 5, 6, or 7 remaining in my hand. And so this is where the part of the cooperative element really comes into play, because the players all have to decide, okay, are we actually going to predict this player's fate or not? So on one side, there's the player who's putting the tile down. They are communicating information in a limited way to the other players. The other side are those other players who are discussing it and deciding, can we make an accurate prediction? Because if we don't, the doom tracker is going to move up 1 or more spaces depending on what happens. And that decision is really, really interesting. It requires collaboration and discussion. And to take it to a whole other level, say in this example where I have a 6 in hand, I have a 7, I play the 6 on this card, so you guys, the rest of the players, know that it's either a 5 or 6 or a 7 in my hand. Not only do you have the information about where I placed the tile, but you also have the information about where I didn't place the tile. So since this card, say the same card is out there, you know that I didn't place this tile here when I could have. So you can eliminate the 6 by doing that. So you're not only looking at where you place the tile, you're looking at all the other cards where the player didn't place the tile. I love that. I love the dynamic that creates. But my favorite mechanism in the game, I know I've talked for a while and I haven't gotten to my favorite mechanism. My favorite mechanism in this game is that at certain times in the game, I won't go into all the details, these tiles, these clue cards will expire. They'll fade. And when they fade, they flip over to the back. And in many other cooperative games, the thing on the back would be a bad thing. Not so in the Shipwreck Arcana. In the Shipwreck Arcana, the thing on the back is something that helps you. So this one that I just flipped over says, after playing their fate, the active player may discard this to discard one visible fate that is lower than their remaining fate. I'll have to think about that one. That one's a little out there. But here's a better example. Before making a prediction, the group may discard this to ask, is your fate 1, 4, or 7? That's what this one says. So what these cards do is it helps you get closer to guessing correctly, because pretty much in this game, you want to guess correctly on every turn. You want to make a prediction on every turn, and you want it to be correct. And so by having these cards that fade to the backside and become something useful there, really, really helps the other players. Because say there's a situation in the game where I have a 5 in my hand, but the clue that I give makes it seem like it could be a 5 or a 7. You guys, the rest of the players, can use this card to eliminate the 7 if they want, or to figure out that it actually is a 7, to help make that correct guess. So I really, really like this. I love in cooperative games where it starts off very difficult, and the game actually makes it a little bit easier as you play, either as you mess up or as you advance in the game, as you do good things. Either way, in the Shipwreck Arcana, you are getting these faded cards that help you play better and help you move towards victory. I love this in cooperative games. When cooperative games do this, and unfortunately, it's still very, very rare. In most cooperative games, the game gets more difficult as you play. I prefer this, that it starts out really difficult and actually gets a little bit easier as you play. This is the Shipwreck Arcana. As you can tell, I am really enjoying my play of it. I love how fast it is to play, how easy it is to teach, and how interesting the decisions are on the part of the player placing the tile and the players who are cooperating and collaborating to guess what that tile is so they can move the game forward for the sake of all players. Shipwreck Arcana, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, or if you have another deduction game that you have a favorite mechanism in that you want to talk about in the comments, or another cooperative game where the game starts out really hard and actually gets a little bit easier as you play. I'd love to hear examples of that as well in the comments. Thanks.